welcome to the Shot Clock Podcast, part 2 of the Darren McGuinness episode. Hopefully you enjoyed part 1. So without further ado, it's Darren McGuinness. Right, changing gears, shifting lanes, music. Who are your top 5 musical acts of all time?
This is really, really tough. Now, as much as I like music, you know, when basketball, you know, we were playing basketball, I couldn't care what was playing in the stadium or the arena. I couldn't care. But off the court, I actually wouldn't hear it when I'd be, you know, playing. But off the court, I have a huge, huge collection of music. And it's, right, I'll try to throw some names at you here. And probably number 1, Stevie Wonder. Just incredible. Number 2, probably Chaka Khan. Actually, pre-Chaka Khan, when she was with Rufus, a band that she was with before she became Chaka Khan.
Yeah.
I love Tupac, poet, you know, just a poet. What else? Luther Vandross. But again, pre-Luther, when he was with Change, the band would have established him before Change. For me, it's about the voice, you know, music is secondary. George Michael, great voice, super talent. George Benson, and a female rapper that I really, really liked. Again, I'm making you feel like you're 17. You probably won't remember. MC Lyte. Do you remember MC Lyte? New York girl,
Maybe.
Ghetto, hood, ghetto. Just, for me, just great. Best female rapper of all time for me. Then I can go to, like, switch gears. I can go to Hall and Oates, George Benson, Michael Jackson. It's kind of crazy. You know, I can get easy stuff. I can go to the rap. I'm not going to listen to rock or anything like that. I'm not going to touch that.
I'm not touching that. I'm not having any of that.
No, I'm not going near that scream. I have enough headaches. I have enough headaches. I don't need that, you know. But yeah, that would be my list. Did I say Michael Jackson in there as well?
Yeah,
80s. You have to throw Michael Jackson in. You know, he was everywhere. You know, unfortunately, it ended up the way it did for him. But look, he was everywhere, wasn't he?
He was an amazing artist. So
yeah, absolutely.
Staying on music, we're warming up. What are the 3 songs you want to listen to while warming up? You just said you zoned out, so you probably didn't hear anything.
No, I didn't. You know, you'd hear little snippets, but it wasn't a thing for me. But I tell you what I will say. I played with Tralee Tigers and I played with Thames Valley Tigers. So you're probably going to figure out what song I'm. I had a Tiger by Survivor. Yeah, I had a Tiger just purely because I played with Thames Valley Tigers in the UK and Tralee Tigers over here. The other one would be Jump by Van Halen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to sing it. I'll just name it. Another one, again, some of the younger ones might not remember. It was we're playing basketball. I think it was Curtis Blow sang it. Nice little video. They throw in all the NBA players' name there. So it was Curtis Blow. We're playing basketball. So they would be my 3 favorite if I had to pick. But as I said, again, not really interested if I'm warming up or.
You zoned out at that stage. You were ready to.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right. So, as I said, you've been around the league. We've both been around the league. But 16-year-old Darren McGuinness is sitting in front of you. What advice do you give him about life, basketball, whatever? What advice are you giving a 16-year-old you if you could sit him down again?
Right. I always felt from my school days, club days, and into the Super League level, I always felt I never got to play my natural position. Now, I'm not going to say just yet what I feel was my natural position, but I spoke to you earlier about in school, I would have played on the 13s, 14s, 16s, 18s, 19s, all in the same year. So those teams, if I'm playing with the under 13s, I'm a guard. If I'm going up to play with the under 19s, I'm a post player if I'm playing with the under 13s. I go up to play with the lads at under 19, maybe even older. I'm playing as point guard, and in between the 16s, I'm playing on the wing, maybe all positions at under 16 level. So what used to happen with me, because of various players' ability or lack of, I would be pushed into a spot that I probably didn't want to play, or just to accommodate the team. Like it would have happened at National League level as well. I would have been pushed in. I could score the ball, But a lot of times, if the team's pressured, I would take the ball off the floor, so that would take me out of the scoring. I would probably get more assists throughout that period, but my scoring would be down, or rebounds would be down, or whatever. So I always felt, had I had a word with different coaches over the years, whether it was Larry in school or different coaches, just let me experience my position for a season. We go back, I'll use the same names as I used earlier. We'd say Mark Keenan always got to play that point spot. He was never changing around. Adrian never changed around, always stuck in that point spot. We would say Carl was pushed onto a wing, or the two guard. I was juggled constantly between the 1, 2, 3, from National League level all the way to school level. And I should have probably pulled the coach and say, you know what, I want to, perfect one position. I don't want to be a jack of all trades and master of nothing. Let me, dedicate a year even to the point guard position, maybe dedicate a year to the 2 position or the 3. After that, I'm not playing the 4 or the 5. That's particularly at Super League level, I would be too small. So, yeah, I regret not saying to different coaches over the years, just let me experience it. Hindsight is great, and we probably wouldn't have won as many trophies as we did, or tournaments as we did, had I played those positions. It's a compliment as well, where the coach trusts you because of your versatility, I guess. It's a compliment. There's not every player you can ask to do that. But yeah, that would be one of my big regrets.
Just to interrupt you there, Dave, just to add on there, what did you feel was your natural position? Because obviously, like, I don't know, a lot of people wouldn't know, like, you played Pro-Am in the States during the summers. You would have been playing with NBA level players. Yeah, you know what I mean? So what do you feel would have been your natural position?
Over here, definitely the 2, I think, would have been suited me better. No matter what position I play, I'm always going to get assists, even if it's from the wing or whatever position I would have played. So that wasn't a problem. But I think here, different teams lost a lot of my scoring because I had to handle the ball. And I didn't mind doing that as long as we won, or won a trophy or won the games. I didn't mind that. In the States, that's a different ball game. I'm specifically a 1 in the States. We spoke about it before. I got to play against Muggsy Bogues over there in different leagues and that in the Pro-Am. Played against him quite a bit. Jordan, 3 times I got to play against Jordan. Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace. He was a really good player too from NC State. He got drafted. I think he was 15th or 20 in the draft, called Chris King. Super player. It didn't work out in the NBA for him. I don't know for what reason, but he was just serious. 6'9", 6'10", just serious player. Oh, let me tell you this story real quick. A guy that I played against, a guy named Chris Bruton. He was drafted by Chicago Bulls. Look it up online, you'll see it. It's just incredible. I think he's still playing right now with the Globetrotters, and he's like 50 or over 50. But this guy won the NBA, not the NBA, the NCAA dunk competition. 6'7", 6'8". Chicago drafted him. He never played with Chicago, but they said that they only drafted him because they were going to run him in all the commercials jumping over a car. Now, this is the 80s. This is pre-Blake Griffin. When would he have done that? In the noughties, Griffin, or something?
That was the noughties, I'd say.
Yeah, but look this guy up, Chris Bruton. I actually remember one night playing in a league against him in Spartanburg down in South Carolina. And one of the players took a 3-point shot from in the corner right there. And he was standing, we'll say, in the first hash mark, where if you're lining up for a rebound, and he literally just jumped up. They're shooting from over there. He just jumped straight up in the air and caught the ball. So the guy's over there shooting on the 3-point line, way away from 25 feet away, and he sees the ball coming and just jumps straight up in the air and catches the ball. The guy was incredible athlete. Look him up, Chris Bruton, if you think I'm not telling the truth there. He could, and power dunks, and he could just so quickly, how quick he could jump. Yeah, look, there was another guy that played actually in the Pro-Am one year as well, Albus Rogers. He played over here with Marion. Of all the teams, he was Marion. So he played here with Dan Trant, about 6'8", 6'9", really good player. I think he only ended up playing here at the time. Now, he was drafted as well because he had busted his knee the season before, and he was getting back in shape. I think he had a career in South America and Australia then for many years. But he played in the Pro-Am, serious player. He was ACC Rookie of the Year, right? And 4 years later, he's over here playing. Like, ACC Rookies of the Year are going straight to the NBA.
Yeah, they're lottery
picks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, who was ACC Rookie of the Year probably 2 years ago? Probably that guy that's playing with New Orleans, the what's his name? The Lakers drafted him, and he's playing in New Orleans now.
Lonzo, one of the balls.
No, not him. A
Brandon
bigger guy,
Ingram.
but 6'9". Played at Duke. He plays with Zion. Anyway, I think he was ACC Rookie of the Year. Like, they're going straight to the NBA. And back then, ACC Rookie of the Year, barring a huge injury like Alvis Rogers had, they're going straight to the NBA. But he ended up over here playing with Marion, you know, and then out of here gone.
Anyway, back to 16-year-old you. What else are you telling you other than having a go at the coaches for playing at the wrong position?
Yeah. Okay, this one might be a bit sensitive, but look, I'm going to speak my truth. When I was approached to play with Denny Notre Dame, if I was honest, if I could tell my 16-year-old self when that happened, run a mile from it. I know you were frustrated playing there as well, and talking to the other lads, lots of them were all frustrated there. You know, in hindsight now we can see why people were frustrated, what was going on. You know, stuff that's appeared on the internet, whatever, the last 6-7 years of certain persons' behaviour and stuff. And if they had maybe a better child protection program in place at the time, maybe a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened, you know. But I feel very disappointed, and that period of time is tainted for me. I know we won leagues and cups and very close in the league and that, but really I feel so bad about it, so strong about it. I think those cups should be stripped, you know, from the Irish basketballs, whatever. You know, I think it's just how the situation, you know, had the situation been believed what was going on, maybe it could have prevented what happened the last 6-7 years in the States or whatever that stuff went on over there. And just it taints a lot of the second half of my career, having been involved, been around that, you know, being given assurances that some stuff wouldn't happen, and you know, it clearly did happen. And so yeah, that would be, I'm not one really for regrets, you know, but that's the big taint on my career, that I feel had there been probably, number one, better child protection stuff in place, and number two, had people been believed what they were saying, and you know, not made out to be crazy or made out to be causing trouble, or you know, don't snigger in a person's face when they're trying to tell you what's going on, and you know, try to put them down and then build a wall of steel around somebody else, you know. So yeah, just if I could have avoided all that whole mess, you know, I finished quite early playing. I think it's 28 or 29. I can't remember, somewhere around that. And pretty much for those reasons right there, I just couldn't be around it anymore. You know, I couldn't put myself around it. And I made that quite clear to the relevant people. I don't want to be around this. I don't want to know anything about it. And, you know, lo and behold, here we are 25 years later, and the stuff was still going on. So yeah, that's my big regret there, Jago.
Yeah, look. Yeah, look, we've spoken about it.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people have, but yeah, it does puts a tarnish on those great years because of external factors, we might as well say. It's the easiest way of putting it.
And you know what? There was a lot of great lads that played on those particular teams there up in the arena, and you know, they'd be in and they'd be out. They just couldn't keep. I mean, had they been able to keep the nucleus of that team together, like think about players that left. Damien Sudi, Kieran, what's his name from Newbridge? Kieran Dempsey. Yeah. You know, myself, players in and out. You know, they weren't hanging around. You know, so just it's disappointing. You know what, that period of time, what should have been, you know, a memory of highlighting people's, you know, career or playing time, whatever, and it just seems to be tainted. It's been tainted for a lot of people, not just people that were on the teams or whatever, you know.
People around the teams as well. That's very true. Very, very true.
Disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah.
Second last question. Like, what people don't know is we did a 2-hour phone call yesterday, and we're probably an hour into this already.
Yeah, too long.
So yeah, so I'll talk to you at Christmas if you're lucky.
Christmas 2050.
That's it. Yeah, you're gone now, pushing you away. So dead or alive, Darren, friend, family, famous, 5 people for dinner tonight in your house. Who are you sitting down with?
Right. I'm going to go with my parents first. You know, my mom passed away there last year. Did I say thanks to you actually for?
Yeah,
I did.
I was typical basketball player. I was running in to You know, offering condolences to you and Will, and then heading over because I had a game over in Vincent's that night.
So my parents, you know, for the obvious reasons, I suppose, you know, they taught us, you know, the right morals. I actually feel a bit sad speaking about this. You know, my mom's only dead a year. I suppose they taught us not to behave like alley cats, you know, respect people. Just basically great people that taught us the correct morals and values, you know. Yeah. So my parents would be the first. They'll always be the first. Second, somebody that I feel is Ireland's best athlete, and, you know, I just don't think there's anybody even can touch it, is Katie Taylor. That girl, what she's done and what she's achieved, and how humble she is, and, you know, her drive, her commitment to the sport, and it's like really blinkered vision. She has a set, she has a vision, and she knows what she's after, and her talent, obviously, and her hard work, you know. So Katie Taylor, for me, will always be our number one athlete. I'm going to put these two guys as a team, even though, you know, they play the same sport. It's Nadal and Federer. I want to sit down with them. I want to talk to them. I want to pick their brain, longevity, you know, egos, the whole lot, the work they put in. I always parcel them together in my mind, you know, 20 years time, from the same era, the two of them, and how competitive. I'm not a Djokovic fan. Federer and Nadal are the men for me. So I want to get them down. I want to pick their brain at that table. What's this for now, is it? Okay, my favourite player of all time, Scottie Pippen. For me, just the best player. I know Michael Jordan, you know, is, for me, above everybody, but the game Pippen played, the way he played the game, so selfless. Again, we go back to our school days. You know, you were taught the correct fundamentals. You know, it's not all about shooting. You can play defense. You can, you know, get assists. You can get steals. You don't have to score big numbers to, you know, be this perfect player, or, you know, what, you know, the media assume is this perfect player. Pippen was always, Jordan's the best. There's no question. Jordan is the best. But for me, Pippen was always my favorite player. So I want Pippen. I want to sit down with Pippen and pick his brain as well. Now, the Chicago connection is going to, this is the fifth one. This is going to continue. I want Phil Jackson. I want to sit down with him. I want to hear, like, his philosophies, how the game should be played, how he managed, you know, the egos, how he, you know, got a system in place and built that trust from the players. Just his all around. You know, the Zen master. I want to pick it. I want to pick his brain. So yeah, that's my five there. Is that five? Yeah.
Look, it's more than five, but I don't care, because they're solid picks, man. Like, you know,
yeah.
Your parents, obviously, I had the pleasure of meeting both of them. Two beautiful, beautiful people. And you and Will are a credit to both of them. You know what I mean? As you said, brought up the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the famous people, like, you're the second person to say Scottie Pippen. Elaine Scally said she'd take Pippen ahead of Jordan for dinner as well.
Yeah.
For the same reasons. Yeah. Exactly the same reasons. Follow on. What are we having for dinner? Are you cooking, or are we ordering in?
No, I'm not cooking. I'm going through a phase now with well, actually for a little while, Indian food. So I'm going to get some Indian food in, and that's, just keep it simple like that. Hopefully everybody likes a bit of spice. That's it, food, you know.
I can't see anybody complaining. Well, I suppose their nutritionists might have something to say about it.
It's for that off night, that one night a month, or that one night a week that you're allowed off. So that one night.
Yeah. Right, so look, we've reached the end of this. Darren, like, you were such a huge influence on me over the years, still are. Like, no matter who I'm talking to about basketball, you're the first person I always mention. You're that guy. You're the guy I looked up to when I was younger. You're the guy who took me under his wing, looked after me, looked out for me, you know, all through the years. And some of them I'm proud to call a friend. You know what I mean? It's great that we can have these conversations. So thanks a million for coming on this. I know this is not your bag at all. And Clean Foley and whoever else, he's not going to answer your phone calls. I'm just telling you now. No. This is a one-off. End of story. Sure. But look, thanks for coming on, and thanks for such a wonderful insight into such a long career. You know, people forget you started in the 80s, you finished mid-90s. As you said, you could have played on for 4 or 5 years if circumstances had been different. and then we're
Yeah.
talking into the noughties then, you know what I mean? Such a
Yeah,
long career. Again, I still feel you're selling yourself short as a player with, you know, your Roy Curtis wins, your school cup wins as a coach and a player, the stuff you did in the UK, your World Club Invitationals. Like, it's just, if you'd have kept your trophies, you would have needed an
yeah,
extension.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
you didn't.
You know what? You're throwing stuff up there. I'm searching my brain. Like, I really lucky, really lucky. Some of the players I played with and against, and some of the trophies that I won. You know, like you played in that WICB. You played in the final, didn't you? Like,
Yeah, we reached the final with our under-19 team. We got beaten by London Towers at the time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we had a solid team back then, but yeah, we lost that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I got to play in that final. Probably a lot of people don't know this. I got to play in that final as a senior as well. So, you know, I got to experience it as a junior and win it, and then we lost in the final as a senior when I played in England with Thames Valley Tigers. You know, and we actually should have won it. It was very similar to actually the under-19 tournament for us. All the difficult games, all the harder teams, we ran into them in the pool. In the pool games, and then we get to the final, and just players are smashed up. You have hamstring injuries and that, and we end up losing in the senior final to Sunderland. Now Sunderland were stacked. Bucknell just back from playing with the Lakers, and that Russ Saunders, Scott Patterson, various players, you know. But we had just beaten them at home the week before that final, and just we ran out of steam. People were getting smashed up, and when we get to the final, just the bodies, you know. So yeah, very lucky. You know, I got to experience that final as a junior, as a senior. I don't think there's any other Irish player actually gotten to play in that senior final. Maybe Dave Fitzsimons years ago, I don't know. But yeah, very lucky, and, you know, great bunch of lads that I played with in school. I want to give them a shout out too, you know, serious players at the school and club level with Corinthians. I'm not going to name names, there's too many to name, you know, but yeah, you know, just happy that I enjoyed those years, you know.
Yeah. Look, as I said, it's great having you on. You're one of the first people I reached out to when I decided to do this for this exact reason. You know what I mean? I wanted to pick your brain because it's something I've never done. Last question, same question for everybody. Who would you like to see on the Shot Clock podcast? Whose brain gets picked?
Yeah, there's a few actually. I always feel, for me, Ray Smith was the best basketball player that played here. Yes, some people could score the ball better than him. Actually, he led the Spanish league, which is far superior to this league. He led that in scoring and never led the Irish league in scoring. Kind of funny. But, you know, Neptune's dominance, you know, he started that off. You know, Terry didn't win anything until he arrived, and Terry built up his reputation on the back of Smith. You know, we had some great players here. You know, we've also had some great servants to Irish basketball, like Jerome and Ed. You know, they may not, without trying to offend anybody, may not have been that caliber of player. So I guess Ray Smith would be the number one if you could get him on here, you know.
I've been talking to him. He has agreed to come on. It's trying to get our schedules working in the right way to get him on.
Yeah. And he's quite humble too, from what I'm hearing. You know, he's not one guy that will blow up his own trumpet. You know, like some of the players, you know, they talk about themselves all day. You know, what's that old saying? They say paper doesn't refuse ink or something. Some of the you know. But Ray Smith would be one. Now, another person, it's a female. It's Claire. I really admire. You know, we talk about Lindsay Peake, you know, playing basketball and the rugby. Angie McNally played, you know, basketball for Ireland, football GAA for Dublin, and soccer for Ireland. So an extra sport right there. Incredible human being, first of all. Really humble girl. She was around in the 80s, you know. She played with different teams. She was around. I think she would be great to get on, you know, pick her brain. A lot of stories, a lot of information there, you know. Jasper McElroy, if you could get Jasper on, he led the league in scoring a few years. Sinead Daly is another one I think that should be, you know, she doesn't get any credit. You know, when they talk about, you know, the girls' leagues back then, the guards are always, you know, Caroline Ford, but she played with Caroline Ford. She started with Caroline Ford, as good as Caroline Ford. Maybe not a scoring the ball, but serious player. Do you remember Sinead Daly?
No. We talked about her the other day, but yeah, I'm looking into that.
I think also, I'm going to throw 2 or 3 more names at you there. I think Joan and Ken Black, I think they would be great to get on there. You obviously know Ken.
Yeah.
You know, Ken tells a great story. He was around back in the day. Between them, they've won some trophies. They've developed some kids, some programs. You know, they could take, you know, way more than what I could as well. Another guy I think kind of started all this whole, you know, the golden era in Irish basketball, Tom Wilkinson. You won't remember him, I don't think. He captained that first team, that first Irish team to win the Roy Curtis, and I think he was the highest scorer in that Roy Curtis final that year, above all the Americans and everything. We spoke about briefly earlier on. I always feel without Tom Wilson, there's no Tom Sullivan. You know, Dior would be great. Dior.
I'd love to get Dior on, yeah.
Dior, if you can get him on. Gerald Kennedy, I'm sure Gerald will do. You know,
Gerald's recorded now. I have Gerald done. Yeah.
Now, I have a surprise for you. I have a question for you. I didn't. You don't know anything about this, and it just a quick, honest answer. I'm going to put you on the spot. They talk about. I'm going to give you my opinion on it after I hear yours.
Right.
They talk about the years, you know, the golden period of Irish basketball. And, you know, the players were better back then, or they're better now. Whatever the case might be. In your opinion, what is the highest standard of basketball? Forget about eras or nostalgia. You've seen videos, you were at games in the 80s. I know you were quite young. I'm sure you were taking a lot of it in. You've seen games in the 90s, the 90s, up to date. I haven't seen a lot of games over the last 20 years. I just really haven't seen them. So your opinion on that for me, and I'm going to give you my opinion on it. In my mind, I have a very, very simple explanation for it. I might be way off track, but I want to hear yours.
So, funnily enough, myself and Paul Keller had this conversation about 2 weeks ago.
That's the guy that coaches. That's the guy that coaches
Irish under 18 coach now he is, and he's down in Neptune as well. Great guy,
yeah.
Loves his basketball. Would literally talk basketball 24/7.
He would be related to Roger then, wouldn't he? Roger Keller and Bobby Keller. And
yeah. So he
okay.
hit me up. He hit me up with a text message saying, you know, I've heard you mentioning the golden era. Why is it the golden era? So for me, the golden era of Irish basketball would have been late 80s. 86, as I was learning the game, 86 onwards. I'm probably stopped around 92, 93. Just as I came into the league, actually, I think we at that time we had full gyms, a higher standard of player, a higher standard of American or import player that pushed us as Irish players to be better, because you weren't getting onto the court unless you worked hard. And it made you work hard because you had somebody to aim at. Now, a lot of that was probably down to do with money, gate revenue, we'd bigger sponsors back then, all of those things. But for me, that was the basketball I fell in love with, was the Roy Curtis. It was that time of watching Den Haag. It was watching Murray Metals. It was watching Crystal Palace coming over. It was watching Road Speed. You know what I mean?
We had Russian teams. We had Russian teams coming over. Dynamo Moscow, you know.
Moscow, remember coming over. CSKA were over.
We beat them. We beat them. Maccabi. We beat one of those Russian teams in the semi-final. I think the year we won it with Blue Demons. Like, it was really, really tough. Actually, again, our easiest game was the final. We played an English team in the final. We played all the tough games in the pools, semi-final, and this English team gets to the final. I can't even remember the name of the English team we beat.
Solent?
No, Solent played my first year in 81. I seen it in 81. No, it might be in 82. And then Neptune won it, I think, in 83. They were my first 2 years, you know, going back to scribbling the floor and selling the magazines. So, yeah, go on.
But yeah, for me, that was the golden age. Now, like, and again, I have a lot of friends who are playing right now, and I go and watch the games right now. I said to you off camera, I stopped playing at 23 for whatever reasons at the time. I came back when I was 30, and I worked my arse off, but I walked into a starting spot on a Super League team, having not touched the ball in 8 years. That shouldn't happen.
No.
Right? It wouldn't have happened back in the day. It wouldn't have. It just wouldn't have happened. So now I'm watching games going, it's just not what it was. Higher standard Irish player, definitely, but I think a lower standard of American player.
Yeah, very, very similar thoughts there. Definitely the Americans are, you know, for me, after about 89, 90, the Americans, you know, anything that come in after them, except for, actually, I'm saying Americans, I should say foreign players. There's two that stand out for me after 89, 90. It's that big Russian that played with the Northman, Merchant, called Gillianka or something. Almost 7 feet tall, just a strong man, tough, both ends of the floor. And Cleotis Brown, I think about 6'7", just could do it all. You know, back in the day, they would have gotten jobs when the league was strong. Anything after that come in, you know, would have been playing. No offence with Sligo, Galway, St. Gall's, Annandale, Star to Sea were in the lower divisions then. That's the jobs they got, you know. You know, as I said to you earlier, we guys come in playing the bully ball, undersized post players, pushing and shoving and blah, 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 blah. But getting back to the standard of basketball, how I feel, in my mind, it's really, really easy explained. You had that Hibernian Cup team that was put together a few years ago. Do you remember it?
They remember.
Now, this was a selection of the best Irish players. So effectively, it's your national team. I think it was advertised as the national team.
Close enough, yeah.
With 3 Americans, right? So again, like the Roy Curtis, 3 Americans. Now, going back to Roy Curtis, some of the foreign teams had 4 or 5 Americans because they had that dual national stuff long before we had it here. But that Hibernian team went away. It wasn't a club team. It was the creme de la creme of Irish basketball, supposedly. You know, the best Irish players from all the teams with 3 Americans. They got blown out in every game, if I remember right. I think their closest game was 20, 30 points with 3 Americans. We, back in the day, we played with the 3 Americans with our club team. Just our club team, not the selection of the best players, and we beat those teams in the Roy Curtis. So for me, that's it right there. That's how you explain that in a nutshell. You know, it was supposed to be a higher standard with basically a national team with 3 Americans and the club team with 3 Americans. Your national team is not supposed to beat, or your club team is not supposed to be able to beat a national team. No. If you pick the Spanish national team with 3 Americans to play against, I don't know, Badalona with 3 Americans, that Spanish national team is going to beat that club team. That just wouldn't happen, you know. So for me, in a nutshell, them club teams with the 3 Americans back then were far superior. The Americans were far superior, not even close. Nothing, as I said, for me, come in here, we're talking about American boys. And I'm sorry if I'm offending people, you know. I said earlier, we great servants to Irish basketball. We had Ed Durham. Lenny was a different caliber to them, you know. Again, for me, Lenny, probably the most, what's the word I'm looking for here? The person that won the most trophies, you know, Division 1. He won a Division 1 with the Northmont, won a cup with Northmont while he was playing second division, won Super Leagues. He's 3 Roy Curtises. Lenny has 3. So there's only 3 Irish teams ever won the Roy Curtis, and Lenny's played on all 3 of them. So what more needs to be said? He's our most celebrated. He should be our most celebrated athlete, and unfortunately, he's not. They start sticking these other guys up ahead of him.
I said it to him on his episode. Why Lenny McMillan is not in the Hall of Fame in this country baffles the shit out of me. Baffles.
I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. If came from a great college program, had a solid career here, you know, played with all the top teams, won everywhere he's been, made his team competitive or won. And, you know, you've guys that have won 1 trophy or not even 1, and, you know, they're in these Hall of Fame's crap ahead of him. It just doesn't make sense. No, you know. No. So I hope my answer makes sense to yourself, how I feel, and to some people that are hopefully going to watch. So yeah, I thought I'd try to catch you out on that and see what you had to say.
Yeah, thanks for that. Almost got me. Only myself and Keller went back and forth for about an hour and a half, 2 hours on this. Going, but what about this and what about this?
I don't remember him at all. He was probably, I don't know what age he is. He's obviously related to Roger and Bobby Kelleher and great people. I mean, Roger Kelleher, my God, I can't find enough words to praise that man. So if he's from that ilk right there, he's a super guy.
He's one of the smartest basketball brains in this country, I have to say. He's smart. Really good guy, develops his players. He's been a great help to me as I'm transitioning back out of the game for the 3rd time into coaching. Yeah. He's been there for me. So yeah, really, really value him, you know.
Great to hear that, you know, we have some up and coming coaches like that, or he's established obviously, but that someone that will take the time and put the effort in, and, you know, to get his own knowledge up to date and his own philosophies, and then to be able to put it across to the kids. Great. I love to hear, you know, guys like that are putting it back into their sport, you know, or our sport. Just love to hear
like we did, and like was done for us. Like Larry, as you told me a story about Larry O'Reilly coming back from a Four Nations and busting his ass to be back on Colosh de Quivin's outdoor court in the rain on a Saturday morning, you know what I mean? Having travelled through the night just to get there, you know? And that's
fell asleep on the chair. He get us drilled to do, and he fell asleep on the chair because he'd been away with the Irish team for 4 or 5 days, and the guy was exhausted. But that was extra work for us. Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, literally got off a boat. Haven't seen the guy in years, actually. But as I said earlier, he'd be a guy that him and Mark Ingle, for me, they're the two best. I know people are giving out about Mark, saying he's changed and that, but for me, Mark, I would go for Mark and Larry if I was starting a new club.
Look,
Mark got a raw
I was lucky enough to play for both of them as well. You know what I mean? Like, Mark brought me into the league at 16. You know what I mean? Like, my first season, like, he was the one who brought me up to the Super League team. So, yeah.
And Mark got a raw deal there at Notre Dame. He questioned basically one of the foreign players not playing defense and not getting rebounds, and next of all he gets the bullet. So he got a raw deal there. And look, I'm delighted he had much. That was his first year actually in the league, and he's had lots of success since then. That didn't deter him getting the bullet, after the first year, and then he kept with it. I'm delighted for Mark's success.
Yeah, it's really, great to see. Still doing it. Still doing it now, all these years later. Listen, thanks a million. I shall talk to you soon. You look after yourself. Yeah. Well, I won't talk to you soon, actually.
No. 20 years.
I'll talk to you at the Masters. You have to come up and watch us win again.
I will. I'll try to get down and watch. And everybody that's watching, stay safe, be smart. We're not out of the woods yet. Keep washing the hands and distancing, social distancing. We're all in this together. So stick with it. We'll get there.
We will get there. We'll be back on the court. Listen, take it easy. Yeah. Cheers, Darren.
No, you too. All right.
So there you have it. The second part of Darren's interview. In depth. 80s all the way through the 90s, talking about some of the best players that he's played with and against, some solid advice as well for players and coaches, and a really enjoyable episode. Look, as I said at the very start, Darren is my pick for my shooting guard or point guard for my 5 to the court every single time. Really looked after me when I was playing, and still a good friend to this day. Head over to Instagram if you enjoyed the episode. Sign up, subscribe, and all those things. Like, subscribe, share, and head over to our Spotify playlist to listen to Darren's 3 songs for warming up to. And until next Monday, this is Jay saying, I'll see you on the court soon.